Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sweet Tips here. Just a quick video about my mic system. I've been using this for a couple of years. The phone fits in here, and then there's a little cable here that connects into the transmitter here, and then this wire fits into the phone, and then that's how we get the sound into the phone. This is the wireless box that I wore on my belt. Here's the microphone, and it's got a wire that goes down my shirt and connects to the belt unit here. And first off, this part broke off. One time I dropped the phone and broke this off, so I had to buy a whole new unit just to get this cable. And then the second thing that happened was this wire was dangling out of my shirt, and as I walked through the doorknob caught this wire and pulled it out of this connector here. And so I had to go get a whole new unit to replace this damaged one. So what I did is I modified this thing so I don't have this wire going down my shirt and this thing on my belt anymore. What I did is I took the whole new microphone setup and I attached it to this old headset from some kind of old PC telephone setup. I attached the piece that goes on your belt here with some electrical tape to the boom, and then I just wound the wire up and stuck it on the boom with a twist tie. And then here's the microphone at the end. And the reason that I was getting a lot of pops during my last video production is because this boom, I need to pull this out a little bit further so that this piece, this microphone right here, is a little further away from my mouth. I have the microphone set up now and turned on. And so what we're going to do, I'll show you how I put it on. I have to put my cap on to hold the headset in place. But this is so much easier than trying to string that wire down through my shirt, clip this piece onto my belt. So what I've done is I've incorporated the wireless mic system into a single headset. And if there's any lavalier mic companies out there looking at this, this would be so much easier if we could just incorporate the transceiver here into the headset. And then all you got to do is just put the headset on. You don't have to worry about a wire going down your shirt to the belt unit. Now there is a special situation here. I'm working in a high noise environment, and so I need this microphone right pointed straight at my mouth, because if it gets pointed anywhere else, then you pick up a lot of the ambient noise and my voice becomes muffled. For example, if this thing moves down just a little bit like this, then the timbre of my voice changes, the volume of my voice changes, and you can't hear it very well. Or if it even moves up like this out of the way. And so mic placement is very critical here in order to be able to get the proper sound level. So I've got to have it pointing directly at my mouth. And this thing is so much more convenient to use. When I'm done shooting a clip, I just turn it off, take it off, and set it down. When I'm getting ready to go out and shoot another clip, just pick it up, put it on, put my cap on, and go. And it's so much more convenient than having to thread the microphone cable down through my shirt, clip the thing on, clip the mic onto this thing, onto my headset. That's what I used to do, just clip it on and then go out and shoot the clip. Someone that's not in a high noise environment could just clip the microphone onto their lapel and be heard just fine. But I'm not in a quiet environment. I'm in the loud fume hood noise out there. And so I've got to have this mic placed just right in order for us to be able to hear my voice clearly and drown out most of the ambient noise from my shop. Alright, this should conclude this short video about my microphone. I know there were lots of comments on my last video about the clipping and popping noises that I made by speaking directly into the mic. And what I'll do is I'll just extend this boom out a little bit right here and get it a little further away from my mouth, and that should take care of those popping noises. I've adjusted the microphone out a little bit. Let's see if it's going to make a difference. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to put a beaker up on our scale, zero the beaker out, and now I have some pure silver crystal here from our previous silver cell run. And what we'll do, this is about 2.5 kilos in here. What we'll do is we'll measure out about 600 grams of this pure silver crystal to make our electrolyte. That's close enough. That's 626 grams of high purity silver crystal. Here's our pure silver crystal, and what I'm going to do is add some distilled water, take it up to about the 800 milliliter level. Distilled water. Now what I'll do, I've got nitric acid, and I'm going to fill the beaker up to about, let's see, about the 1100 milliliter level with the nitric acid. That's 1200, so that's 400 milliliters of nitric acid in there with the silver crystal and the distilled water. This has been on boiling now for about 3 hours, and you'll notice there's no fume production going on, and most of the silver is dissolved, but not all of it. I'm going to try to get a little bit more of the silver to dissolve. What I'll do is add 200 milliliters of distilled water to this beaker. Now I'm going to add about 50 milliliters or so of nitric acid to the water here. I'm going to stir this up, mix it real good with the distilled water. And now what we'll do is we're going to pour this slowly right into our boiling solution here. See if we can get some more of this silver to go in solution. We could not put straight nitric acid in here because it would take off and boil over like in a wild reaction. So I've added plenty of distilled water to dilute it, and that'll enable us to get our nitric acid in here. There you can see the nitric acid is kind of floating on top of the silver nitrate solution, and just as soon as enough turbulence happens in there from the boiling action, that layer right here that's kind of a different density than the layer right here will travel down, hit that hot silver, and then we're going to get a pretty vigorous reaction here in a minute. Alright, that's why we want to add a dilute solution of nitric acid. Let's stir it up a little bit here, see if we can it to happen quicker for us. There it goes. There you see the nitric acid getting down around the pieces of hot silver down in there. And it's starting to react. Here you can see the fume production is picked up. I'm going to try to add a little bit more of our dilute nitric to the silver in here. See if we can get the rest of this in here safely. Still got a few milliliters of our dilute nitric left in here. I'm going to let that react and see how it does, if it behaves. Here you can see the reaction is progressing nicely now. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to add some more distilled water to this dilute nitric here. About another 100 milliliters or so. And now we're going to add the rest of this in and let this continue to boil so we can get the rest of our silver to go into solution. Yeah, now that'll cool it down. I'm going to add the nitric acid safely. We've got us a rolling boil going. This is taking about 6 hours of treatment on the heat here to get all of the silver to go into solution. You'll notice that there's no fumes evolving, and I do have just a little bit of silver left down in the bottom of our container, and that's what we want to see. That tells us that we've got all of the excess nitric consumed from our solution. Notice that the solution is crystal clear and colorless like water. Pure silver dissolved in dilute nitric is colorless. I've allowed the solution to cool completely. I've got a filter paper in this funnel. I've got my vacuum system turned on. So now what we'll do is we'll filter our electrolyte solution. Notice that I have a small amount of silver left down in the bottom of the beaker. What I'll do is add a little bit of nitric acid and dissolve the rest of that, and then we'll add it to our jar that we use to augment the electrolyte in the silver cell. So let me rinse the funnel out here. And you can see down in the filter there's nothing in there. I mean, that was high purity silver. There might be a couple of little bitty black specks of dirt from handling the silver, but the filter paper is absolutely clean. Here's our stainless steel bowl that we use as the cathode for the silver cell. And I've got a cathode connection made from copper and a stainless steel hose clamp. We'll just sit this down into the dish here, put our bowl on top of it, and before we get started, I'm going to get this old used electrolyte out of the way. Set this right up here. Here I have a bucket. It's got some cement silver down in it with some pieces of copper. What I'll do now is take the copper out of here, and I'm going to stick it into the beaker here that's got our used electrolyte. We're going to start cementing out the pure silver onto those pieces of copper that I'm adding. This is our cement silver. I've had it in there for a couple hours. I'm going to reach in here and stir it up a little bit and get the silver to release off of those pieces of copper. And this came out of the silver cell. This is the old electrolyte from the silver cell. So it's going to be fairly clean silver down there. And what we'll do is, once we'll get all the blue liquid off of there and then collect the cement silver and melt it up into shot and run it through the electrolytic silver cell. Now we're going to make up our cathode connection to the stainless bowl. This is just a piece of copper that's curved to meet the curvature of the bowl. A stainless steel hose clamp that goes on around the outside. And then we just connect it with that hose clamp to our stainless steel bowl, and that provides a nice tight connection for us. Let's get our electrolyte now that we've filtered. We're going to move it over here to our silver cell and add the electrolyte into the cell. Let's add our electrolyte that we just filtered here to our stainless steel bowl. Just pour it right on in. Now I'm going to add some distilled water to about within 3/4 of an inch of the rim of the stainless steel bowl. Let's stir it up real good here to make sure we've got a nice even mixture. And now I'm going to put the cover on here. The cover's been scrubbed and rinsed with distilled water and dried off. I'm covering it with a piece of paper towel so that nothing falls down in there. This is our little anode filter basket. It's just a Rubbermaid food container with some holes drilled in the bottom. And what I have here is an anode filter bag. It's a Craftsman vacuum filter bag. There's the number right there. And so what we're going to do, get this bag out of here, and we'll turn it inside out. Pull this back a little bit. Turn this inside out. And I use a double bag arrangement where I've got 2 layers of filter between the impure shot and the silver cell electrolyte. So it's 2 layers thick of filter that I'm putting in here. I'm slipping a little retainer ring over it now. I'm going to hold this down in there with my chin and then snap it down in place. And there's our prepared anode filter. I'm going to trim away the excess filter material with a razor blade here. Just go all the way around. I've got some impure silver shot that we've created by pouring the cement silver into some water, form these granules. This is about 98 to 99% pure silver. And we'll just fill up our anode filter basket here with the impure silver shot. Put the anode filter with our impure silver shot down into the silver cell. Wipe off all the crud, if any, on there. Try to keep it as clean as I can before I dip it down in the cell. We'll just drop it right in there. Let's cover up the opening so we don't get any crud falling down in there. And here I have my anode bar. It's a bar of pure silver that has been cast with a copper wire in it. And this is getting pretty chewed up. If it gets down in the electrolyte, this bar will dissolve. So we're going to set that on top of the anode filter basket here. I've got the anode electrode bar sitting on top of the impure silver. Up here I've connected it to the positive side of my power supply. I did reinstall an inline fuse. This is an inline 3 amp fuse that will protect the circuit in case I get a bunch of growth down inside the cell and the silver crystal contacts the anode filter. It'll pop that fuse before it burns a hole through the bag and ruins the batch of silver. I've got the negative side of the power supply coming down here and going to my cathode connection that's connected to the stainless steel bowl down here. So we've got all our connections made up. We're going to energize the power supply now. There we go. We're getting a good current flow through the cell. We got 3.5 volts constant voltage. What's happening here is the current flow is traveling through the impure shot, through that anode electrode bar that's got the copper wire cast into it. The silver dissolves. Any other precious metals that are in the impure silver will get trapped and left behind in the anode filter. As the silver dissolves, it's in contact with the electrolyte down here. And as the silver dissolves, it travels through the electrolyte, and then the silver crystal plates out on the bottom of the silver cell as high purity silver. You can see little flecks of pure silver already starting to form down in there. The stainless steel bowl acts as the cathode for the silver cell. The silver plates out on the stainless steel bowl as high purity silver crystal. And then after about 10 days, we should have about 1.5 kilos of high purity silver from our silver cell. That was about a 2-hour time lapse of the crystal growth down inside the silver cell. And I'm just going to show you the progression here that we use. This is the impure silver that gets poured off when we do the inquartation. We filter that and get all the solids out of it. And then I put it into a beaker and add pieces of copper, just like I did here. The silver cements out and falls to the bottom. Then I separate the cement silver from the blue liquid, get all the blue liquid off of it, and we melt it up into some impure silver shot. And then we run it through the electrolytic silver cell, and we end up with high purity silver crystal, just like you see right here. Alrighty, that's how we start the silver cell up. This will conclude the video. I'd like to thank everyone for watching.